kind of a fluke.
Okay.
A fluke Skywalker. Oh God.
What?
What?
Welcome to Talking Rad 201.
We're almost a full number,
Yeah.
What?
like a cell phone number. We're about there.
Like 206.
No, I mean like 1, 2, 3.
Oh, 208.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more numbers.
So 10,000 episodes.
We're close.
I don't think we're that close.
We're closer than we were last week, bucko.
Okay,
That's true.
Get wrecked.
What's-
I told you.
Do you know what podcast has like the most episodes?
Talking Rad by the Radkatz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Rogan has almost. I think he's close to 2,000.
Well, he does like 2 a week.
Yeah, that's his like literally one of his jobs other than UFC commentating and podcasts.
I don't know. It's probably him, right?
Unless you count like radio shows.
Oh yeah,
doing interviews.
I guess he does stand up. That's pretty much what Joe Rogan is like radio show.
Well,
Well,
that's what a podcast is.
Yeah.
there's I guess daily radio shows if you call that a podcast, which I don't think you do because
Fair.
If that's the case, who's like a popular one that we would even know?
like
There's a lot of political ones.
Is
I
like
know.
Howard
Glenn
Stern.
Beck? Is Glenn Beck? Is he
Howard
the money
Stern.
guy? Yeah, Howard Stern. Because I would count all of those radio interviews as
What about,
an
like,
episode.
Conan O'Brien, late night talk show host stuff.
Yeah.
that's
Same vibe.
It's all
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
well, you see with talk show hosts you have like 15. The guest has 15 minutes. That's it. Podcasts they can go on for as long as they want.
There's probably a 15-minute podcast out there.
Well, the guest, sure, but
Yeah.
like Conan talks for a full
Yeah.
hour. I don't care about what guest is on there for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about his show.
Oh,
if
yeah.
that's the case, do we count Hot Ones as an internet interview show, radio,
I would
podcast episodes?
That's closer to Conan and like late night talk shows, because I wouldn't even count late night talk shows as like a podcast, because they do other things on there that you would want to see like a video of.
Right.
And like, sure, video podcasts exist, but like when you think of a video podcast, it's literally exactly what this is. Just two to three white dudes standing around a table talking.
And then you don't have to listen to, or you don't have to watch it.
Remember the
Yeah.
last episode we have a bit of a diversity.
We did have the diversity
Yeah, we
higher
had
last
Zay.
week.
Yeah.
Or last time. Here's an interesting question for you guys. Maybe not question, but it's like, it's very funny because the internet is like, maybe not the internet as a whole, but like a good group of people are angry about this, and it's very silly that they're angry about it. But it's the Hawktua girl. How she's basically became a multimillionaire because she said Hawktua spit on that thing one time in like a 3-second clip. And a lot of people are really mad that that's how she got rich and famous.
Well, people need to vote with their eyeballs then.
Who cares?
Yeah, but exactly. Who cares at the end of the day? Honestly, like, I saw the Hawktua thing. I'm like, haha, that's funny. Oh, wow, this chick is gorgeous. There's a lot more to her than just saying Hawktua, I think. And she has to be somewhat smart enough to figure out that, oh, I can
Milk it.
I can milk this and turn it into a business. So,
Yeah.
like,
I think
I don't
she's the
know.
third. She made a podcast, and it's the third most subscribed podcast after Joe
Must be
Rogan
doing
and something else.
something right.
yeah, she's doing something. That's what I'm saying, though. There's got to be more to her personality than just her saying Hawktua.
I agree with you guys. I just find it really funny how people are just mad because that was her couple seconds of fame, and then she got popular.
It
off
was
of it.
it was
Still
like a news
watch.
broadcast. Even it wasn't even like originally her
yeah.
thing. She just like
Just don't watch it. Don't watch her. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like,
don't.
is it so hard for people to just block other humans out of their
Yeah,
life?
it is for
That's
people.
crazy.
That's the funny part. It just goes back to our classic thing of just like, if you don't like it, Don't do it.
And you know what's funny is I remember talking to you and my dad about this because I was complaining about Twitter because I'm like, I just see a lot of stuff I don't want to see. You can curate it, though. After you guys taught me that, I'm like, wow, I can make the places I go to exactly how I do it with YouTube all the time. If I see like a video or stuff that I don't care about, I'll click it and say, don't show me more or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So like I'm living in a fantasy land of just pure sky enjoyment.
Yes, sir. I'm with you. I agree. I think it's like as silly and weird the algorithms are and how they just like start to learn everything about us. I'm all for it because it just means I get better stuff that I enjoy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm totally down. So like if Hawk Tua girl is bothering you, click the little X button. But I know you don't because she's really pretty and you're clicking on it and you're like, wow, she's really cute.
I think she's pretty. I don't think she's as pretty as everyone's making her out to be.
I think she's a 10.
Really?
She's gorgeous. But I've never looked into her. Like, obviously, I think she's somewhat smart or is smart enough to get smart people around her to either milk or turn whatever this is into some sort of success if she is one of the most popular podcasts out there.
I've never listened to it. I can't imagine it's like any more interesting than 3 white guys sitting around a table talking about random junk, but
yeah.
I really do think that she got her popularity from the meme, and that's what's boosted her podcast. I imagine it's going to go down because unless she really does do a really good job of podcasting and she can do some crazy things, but I imagine it probably goes down because like being number 3 is like absurd. That's a crazy number.
Yeah.
And like I said, unless she's doing crazy, I've never listened to it. So she could be doing crazy things.
Well, and maybe people
she could be Hawk 2ing on the pod.
I've actually watched clips where people are like begging her to start an OnlyFans, and she's said no, she's not going to. She seems like a standout person for what I've seen, because I've seen other videos too where she's like, I don't.
Why would she need?
Did this stuff with like a animal shelter? Well, because she's cute, people want to see her tits.
I know, but it's like too bad.
That's what I'm saying. That's what she said. Too bad.
Go find someone similar. I'm pretty sure someone.
I guess I haven't seen that much about her, but I have seen clips where she's done like animal shelter stuff.
Not really seen anything.
She seems like she's, I don't know, a decent person, and I wonder if that's why like people either click on her because they thought it was funny, or she's cute, but maybe they're staying because of who she is. I don't know.
I see more people complain that she is where she is than I have actually of her own content, which is interesting.
Man, people are just salty. Yeah. Legit, like, I haven't even thought about her in weeks until you just brought it up. Because I don't see her. I really don't. Where I live in my little goblin cave on the corner of the internet, she's not there.
I don't either. I don't remember exactly what it was that popped up. It was probably just one of those random, like, Reddits, like, oh, you liked this, you might like this post. And I looked at it and I was like, wait, I don't really care for this. But that's where I learned how many people were mad.
There's lots of people that have done silly things like that have been famous for a little bit. But, I mean, I think you're probably right. This may be one of those things that just falls at the wayside.
But, hey, she's set for life.
Sure.
So I'm very good for her. Like, that's awesome.
Hawk Tua, if you want to join the podcast and boost us, we're just 3 white dudes that'll... Yeah. We just like company.
I'll Hawk Tua.
We also have another anime right there. We have a podcast...
Oh,
anime.
do we want our audiences to cross? Like, I thought we weren't trying to like cross breed or anything.
Yeah, if you like anime, we talk about.
We can't have a dog and a cat together. What does that make? That'd make nothing.
Cat dog.
That show's good.
I find it funny what people get upset about, but I just think that goes to show you how cush our life is. If that's what we're complaining about, is like a girl got famous because she did a Hawk Tua meme. Man, if that's the hardest part of your life, we're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
We're eating good.
I think the worst part about all of it, and this is my actual opinion, the worst part about all of it is that, like, the Tua part, like it's not quite a Tua. It's more of just a Tua.
Hawk.
You know?
Hawk Tua.
I mean, I do it all the time.
It's not a Tua, though. It's more of a Tua.
Maybe
it's kind of a Tua.
Maybe in her southern dialect, that's what it is.
Oh, she has a southern.
She's very southern.
I had no idea.
Very southern. So I wonder if that, like the southern draw, adds the
changes the way we make little onomatopoeias.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it is a Tua. I don't know. There's just everyone always says Tua.
Well, think about all the words.
It's not Tua.
Think about all the words we say over
here. It is Tua. Oh gosh, dude, it is kind of Tua.
But think about all the words that we say, and because we're like, I guess
our language
considered
is the correct one.
the Midwest. Is that what we're
it's
considered?
the correct dialect. All the other
So,
dialects are incorrect.
In this place, people say y'all a lot. I'm not a y'all person.
I don't think people say y'all that much.
I mean, I've not really seen anybody.
I think
say y'all.
you're. Okay, so memes aside, I was memeing about our dialect or whatever being the best. I've been told many times in my life that I have zero accent. I have no accent at all. And so I take that as like, this is the most generic English sound that a person can make is our dialect here.
But that's all your perspective, though, because somebody in New York hears us and they're like, "Oh, listen to his accent."
No, I mean, I was Twitch streaming and people all over the world were telling me this. They're
I
like,
see.
your dialect or your
Well, I would have to push back and say that it's perspective, because somebody.
I mean, I'm not trying to say it. I'm saying what other people told me.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, like, in hindsight, not hindsight, but like looking at it, like taking a step back and looking at it, like, I guess, yeah, it's a pretty generic sounding. What's the word? Not dialect. It's
Just
freaking
basic English. I don't know.
No, what's the word? You speak weird. You speak in different tones. But there's a word for it. What the freak is it?
Dialect.
It's your accent.
Yeah.
Gosh, dude. Yeah, it's the most generic accent apparently. And
I
like
see.
just like taking a step back,
Funny
like
'cause you
thinking about
said
it.
that word a few minutes ago.
I know. That's why I was mad. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Like just taking a step back, like you think of all the different accents. Like I don't know. Like ours does sound pretty dang basic, and like obviously it's because where we're from. But like even if we're thinking like there's twang to it. Even if you have an accent that you don't like, that is like your, let's say like a Brooklyn accent. You grew up your entire life with it. You know you've got twang. I've never once thought my accent had any twang to it. Like these people, like they literally make TV episodes, like King of Queens, about freaking Carrie saying coffee.
Yeah,
Like that's a
coffee.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Like we don't have that in our accents. We don't have any of these weird twangs. And these Brooklyn people, they know they have that twang. Southern people know they've got a twang to their accent. Heck, even British people know they have a twang to their accent. We don't have that.
Maybe what you're saying
what's wrong
is
with us?
we're the closest to what the English word of whatever it is we're speaking would be.
I mean, I would disagree with that personally because, British, they started it. They are over there I would say probably they're closest. But when it comes to just like the generic most, like if you pulled out an AI and try to make it pronounce these words, I think it'd be very close to our accent is what I'm trying to get at.
I agree with you now that I'm thinking about it, though, because let's take the word water.
Water.
If we
Water.
sound it out letter by letter, our accent is the closest to how you would pronounce
Water.
it. I would disagree that the English is closest when it comes to certain words. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wa-
And then some bit
ter.
water.
water. Yeah, water. Like
Water.
D, water.
Water.
I see
we're
what you're
generic.
saying.
As
I
well,
see
all
what
I'm
you're
trying to
saying.
say is that we are the most generic white boys you can find.
I'm coming around on
That's
this.
us.
I still hold the perspective thing because somebody with an English accent or any accent in the United States, for that matter, could listen to us and be like,
absolutely.
"Oh, you've got an accent."
That was what I was trying to get at.
I
That's why I
see.
kept throwing out the poor word choice probably, but the twang. Like they know they got twang because they can hear it.
Yeah.
I've got a weird accent right now because my nose is always stuffy all the time recently, but other than that, I'm back to pretty generic.
There's probably other more proper generic accents in the U.S. than just us, but I'm coming around on this now. I think that the way we pronounce certain words, if not most of the words, is probably as close to what the word would be sounded out properly.
Like I can think of a couple right now. Breakfast.
Yeah.
We say it perfectly, breakfast. We say it exactly as it's spelled and sounded out properly. We got a buddy who just says breakfast. Breakfast.
Breakfast.
Well,
Breakfast.
would
No
it be
Ks.
would it be pronounced break fast or break? Because it more like sounds like we say fest.
Breakfast.
Breakfast.
Unless
Or fist. Breakfast.
Unless you're a weird
Break fast.
Australian and you say
Break.
it like brekkie.
I think it's breakfast because that's all combined into one word. It's two words combined into one,
So
so
it
it changes the pronunciation.
That's just silly English.
Here's an interesting one though. This is a Thane one. So this is one thing that Thane does. It's when he says wolf, he says woof.
Yeah,
That's just him.
Back of the wolf.
And if we're getting
wolf.
technical, that is wrong.
Correct. Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
Your thing would be saying
I don't know where he got that accent
WOOF.
to say woof.
WOOF.
I don't know where he
Wolf.
It's
pulled
not
up that
from
accent.
Boston. I'm not from
It
Boston.
kind of sounds like it though. It kind of sounds like you're from the East Coast over there saying.
How do I
woof.
say room? Because I heard people
Room?
in Boston say room.
Room?
Room.
We're generic is what we're trying to say,
Yeah.
but hey, we love talking about random junk, and that's why you're here.
Yeah, join the podcast, Hawk Tua. I don't even know. What's her real
Yeah.
name? I feel a little bit disrespectful calling her Hawk Tua. Should we look up her name?
I don't know if you should. It's literally her brand at this point. She's made money
I like-
because everybody knows her as Hawk Tua Girl. No
I
one
like
knows
how
her
you
name.
guys ignored the
Haley Welch.
Shout out to Haley.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
like how you
shout
guys
out to
ignored
Haley.
the stab I had at Australians.
Brecky.
Yeah.
It
It's
just
a real
sounds.
slang.
It's quirky though. I like it.
Yeah.
She's real cute, dude.
Yeah, she's fine.
They call McDonald's Macca's.
I think she's fine.
I think she's a lot younger than us, though. I think she's like 20 or 21.
Here's the weirdest thing. They call Burger King Hungry Jacks. Why did you call it Hungry Jacks? That's actually what it's called.
What
in
if Jack
Australia.
is the king? Think about that thing. You
Oh.
think?
Well, that'd be awkward because what do they call Jack in the Box down there? If it is down there, I don't know what's down there.
JB.
Henry's in the box. I don't freaking know.
Henry's in the box. I guess Henry's in the box.
Did you guys have stuff you wanted to talk about? I got one thing I can talk about.
I got a joke. I want to
Okay.
tell it.
Wait, how?
Is this
Is
gonna
it
get us
offensive? Is
are we
it gonna
get
be
canceled
bad?
on Twitter?
Probably not.
He says probably. I need a confirmation.
It's,
A yes or a no.
it's more of a tip.
It's a
Oh,
tip.
yeah.
Okay,
What
if,
should it-
if this goes south, you're gonna have to edit all
You
this
have
out.
to edit all it out.
So we're at 17 minutes.
What should a girl do before giving a blowjob? Hawk Tua spitting on
I love it. I'm a big fan actually of that. That's very funny. Okay, I don't know any of the context behind why she said it.
I flubbed it a bit, but
Is that more or less like what it was? She was
It
like
was
on a YouTube channel.
probably
Like, what do you
something
say when you?
like-
it's a news report.
It
I
was
think.
probably something like how to please your man in bed or something. I don't know.
And a news reporter?
Dude, I don't think
no.
it was a
Like
news
freaking-
reporter. I think it was one of those YouTube.
It has to be a YouTube
guys
interview
thing,
where he's
yeah.
just
There's
asking
no way
people,
it's a
he's like,
news reporter.
How do you please your man in bed?
Hawk to it. Spit on that thing.
Yeah.
Puh.
She basically was like Tom Brady, and when she said that, she just threw a Hail Mary to win the Super Bowl and did.
To
and now
Rob
everyone's
Gronkowski.
mad. To Rob Gronkowski.
Does he catch things? I don't actually know. Does he run? He's a runner.
He's a tight end. He doesn't run that far. But let's just say you got a name right. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
Were you on the same team?
Yeah, she is.
There's no way. Let's go. I know sports.
So Tom Brady, Haley Welch just yeeted
Hawk
a
to
Hail
Rob
Mary.
Gronkowski.
Yeah, she said Hawk Tua yeeted a Hail Mary, got the touchdown, won the Super Bowl, and everybody's mad. That's how you know you made it.
You know, I've been thinking about like, what if someone made a video? It's like how to theoretically get to 1 trillion views on YouTube, and it's just a long video about how to get to 1 trillion views on YouTube. And what if that video, people just congregate together and make that video the one with 1 trillion, the first video with 1 trillion views?
I got the answer. If you're curious, there's two answers to it. A is you do something no one's ever done before,
Yeah,
which is almost impossible nowadays.
yeah,
And then B is you put the perfect amount of effort into something that shouldn't have
Yeah.
had that much effort into
Yeah.
it. Like the Harry Potter thing that I showed you guys.
oh
the
yeah,
freaking
Harry Potter and
shot
the
for
stone.
shot Harry Potter remake.
Yeah.
Like not like it's got effort to it. It's clear it's got a decent amount of effort,
can't
but
wait
not
for-
enough to be like
Yeah.
a good looking movie, but it's good comedy. You know?
I can't
It's
wait for the
perfect.
sequel, Harry Potter and the Chamber.
I thought it was just Harry Potter's Secret.
Harry Potter and the Secret.
No, just Harry Potter's Secret.
Harry Potter's Secret.
Yeah.
Because that one was Harry Potter's
His
show.
secret is how to please a man in bed. Hawk Tua, spit on that thing. Okay, we're done. Let's move on to something
And,
else.
and I'm gonna like the third one, Harry Potter and the Ass Prisoner.
Oh no. Did you guys have any topics you want to talk about? I got one topic we can talk about. I don't know how interested you guys are gonna be, but it's interesting to me, so I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, throw it out there. We'll see where we go.
All right, so maybe a month or two ago, Game Freak was breached. Their security was breached,
Oh no.
and a ton of information was stolen and leaked last night. And I'll explain all the stuff that was stolen and leaked. One thing I do want to point out and hope and say I hope this is what's not going to happen is I hope they don't ever leak any of their personal information of their employees.
Yeah, that's what happened to Insomniac.
Yeah.
The bad.
I guarantee this person that hacked Game Freak has pretty much everything that they would ever want for that kind of stuff, and I really hope they never do anything like that. Supposedly, the leaker has information on the new Pokemon game, Legends ZA, and they've said supposedly, though this is all freaking hearsay on the internet, but supposedly they've said because that game isn't out yet, they do not want to reveal anything about it. So if that is true, then I would also assume that this person is also nice enough to not release any of this personal information. I really hope they don't do that. I think releasing personal information is absolutely scummy. But let's move into the more interesting part about this thing. They have released a ton of stuff from prior games, and assets and things like that were never released to the public up until this point, essentially, where it is unofficially leaked. But more or less what it is beta and alpha content from every single Pokemon game, essentially up to generation like 5 and 6 right now. And when we're talking like beta and information and like just complete everything, I'm talking source codes of games. I'm talking like literal freaking map editors they use to create these games. These kind of things are the things that were leaked. So it's both very, very cool, but also like it's very, very cool for a couple reasons, because we would never get this information anyway, because Game Freak and Pokemon Company are very standoff and they don't want to give out any of that stuff. But this is also very unique and interesting things that fans like myself are curious to know about. And so while I will say I'm interested and maybe excited that we get to hear about it, it's also like it doesn't feel quite good that we're hearing about it in this weird way.
It's like you're sneaking a peek in on somebody.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Now they did kind of leak some stuff that was future stuff, but it was all anime related. And I guess they did do some stuff from the new game, but they were pretty minor things, I would say. I don't know. Regardless, my stance on leaks has always been the same, that in general leaks are bad. I think leaks on prior things like old beta models and stuff like that are interesting. I don't know if they're bad, but like they're not the worst thing in the world compared to leaks of new stuff that hasn't even come out yet. But yeah, like I said, this old stuff's very, very cool, very, very, very fascinating. Like straight up source codes of games is absurd. Excuse me. This one's the one that got me. Literal Photoshop files of logos from these games. The actual Photoshop file. Wow. And so you can go through all of the layers of these logos, how they built these all of this kind of stuff. Super, super fascinating to me. We would no company wants that to get out of any of their stuff, so that's just super interesting. It's not good that it did, but it's still really cool to me to see, I guess.
It's probably interesting to learn the processes of how companies do things. But, like, sometimes I do stuff, and I'm just like, man, I'm really glad nobody watched how I got to this, because it was a nightmare.
Yeah, totally.
And I guess if you could go back and literally step by step trace how Game Freak got to some of their things, it is cool, but I agree with you. I still think it sucks. Like, man, it's when people get out, I don't know what goes through people's minds. I also don't know how they don't get caught, by the way. Like, this is insane to me. It sounds like an inside job.
We're talking terabytes worth of data.
Yeah, that's crazy. That sounds like how else would somebody get in there without like being on the inside?
I don't know.
There's probably a huge investigation going on, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Nintendo's going to get this person, whoever it is, and they're gone. Like,
what are the chances it's a 16-year-old kid like everything else? All the other freaking hacks and
it would be some kid from Japan probably, I would imagine, getting into I mean, it doesn't have to be, but like the odds are I think better that way.
How often do companies catch these people but actually don't go public with it and just hire them?
I think hiring them is very low.
They probably bribe them just like, hey, we'll give you money. Never talk about this again.
Because, like, if they're insanely good at hacking, wouldn't you want them on your side? Be like, sure. Okay, like...
I don't think they do the bribe thing at all. I think they either sue them or make them stop by threatening a lawsuit.
Yeah, why would they give them money? They would take money from them.
No, totally, yeah.
Because what they're doing is illegal.
Defamation. It's literally like destroying their brand in a way.
Yeah.
Oh, one more interesting thing that was leaked in this Pokemon thing was lore from the games that was never ever revealed and always just speculated on. Like we're talking like the creation of the Pokemon world, like the theology of Pokemon was leaked essentially, and we're all just kind of like, what the freak are we looking at, you know? Because like this was never
Theology?
revealed. This
Like
is all
is this like deep lore?
deep lore that was never revealed
Whoa.
ever. Basically, the stuff they came up when the development of Diamond and Pearl was happening, the deep lore they came up for that to have the basis of their thing that was never actually in the games. And like, there's some things that were in the games that alluded to some of this stuff, and now that we have the context from this stuff, the stuff in the games makes sense, and we're just like, what the freak, dude? This is weird. This is crazy.
Would this stuff be considered canon?
That's
or-
the other thing. I don't
yeah.
know. I would say no
assume-
personally.
Yeah,
but
because if it's on the cutting room floor, anything on the cutting room floor is not canon.
Yeah.
To me personally.
I would say not technically canon,
Yeah.
but the fact that there are some in the actual games itself that allude to some of these things that were never revealed. Like here's like the most basic generic example. So the world starts with Arceus in an egg. Arceus hatches from the egg, and each of these like crusts or eggshell pieces turn into giants and attack Arceus. Well, later on, you find out that Arceus used the power of the plates that give him all the different types to defeat all of these things, all of these giants. And in one of the games, like when you read the description of the plate, it says, one of the plates, it says, has the power to destroy giants. And everyone's just like, what the freak does this even mean? And now we know what it means, which is very, really, really, really weird and interesting. So
But
overall,
it's not canon.
not technically canon, but it's
Fits.
alluding to it. It's literally in the game is alluding to this piece of lore that we have uncovered. I don't know. Regardless, super, super fascinating. There was like I said, there was a ton of like other projects that were not necessarily related to the games. Oh, the logo for the Detective Pikachu sequel was leaked, even though that movie is essentially in development hell at this point, but they had the logo and that got leaked somehow. It was supposed to be a trilogy of movies, Detective Pikachu 1, Detective Pikachu 2, and then the third one was supposed to be like almost like a retelling of Red and Blue, but in live action.
That would have been sick.
And that eventually became something I think Netflix picked up, and they were going to do like an 8-episode series of that, but that's nowhere to be seen. Who knows what that's going to be? So they have like little information tidbits from all of this stuff, and I'm literally talking like this is just scratching the surface. The stuff that I'm bringing up. They've got literally like entire notes from meetings and stuff from the past 15 plus years, like literally conversations about things that had like determined ways that the series have gone. Other things like the what are they called, the placeholder names, the project names or whatever of the next generation of Pokemon, so Generation 10, and then also attached to those are the project or the dev code word names for the sequel, the next Switch console. And so it's just all like there's a lot of junk in here that was not ever supposed to get out ever.
Right.
It's like, you know, we call it the Dolphin because that was the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
That word has been leaked from this.
Or the Ultra. What was the Nintendo 64 called?
Isn't it the Ultra 64?
Ultra 64. Yeah.
And then the Revolution. That was the Wii.
Yeah, well, there's Pokemon Battle Revolution.
Well, I mean, the Revolution was what the Wii was called.
I think it's scummy, and I also understand where you're coming from though, because it's like super cool. I'm thinking about something that I would be interested in is like Halo 1 and 2 specifically, because there's so much stuff that got left on the cutting room floor, from assets to weapons to entire levels that have gotten cut because of time constraints. To be able to even just see like concept art for that, or maybe even the level layouts, would be insane.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would kill for that.
The one leak that happened, which is really interesting years ago, because it essentially was almost a finished game, was the Duke Nukem E3 build, like what they showed at E3, and they leaked the whole thing, and they said it was pretty much a finished game. Well, I don't know how finished it was, but it's like it was fully playable. So it's like, that's interesting. They just had a whole build of the game that they pretty much scrapped to make an inferior build. I don't know how good this one was, but
What about
Yeah.
like Metroid Prime 4? Wasn't that game mostly done and they scrapped it? And they're like,
I
we're
think the
starting
DS
over.
version. The DS version has not been seen in the public eye because I think the director, he said the DS isn't powerful enough to what I want to do with it, and so he waited till the Switch essentially to pretty much have the vision that he wanted.
There's two other Halo games I can think of. Halo DS, when they ported Halo to the DS.
I thought that was like an official thing.
It wasn't necessarily official, but like it was people that were like working on Halo, I think, doing it. But then the other one is the Halo Mega Bloks game. That's another interesting
So it's
one.
like Halo Legos, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Mega Bloks had a license on Halo instead of Lego.
So they're gonna do a Lego Halo game, but Mega
Yeah.
Bloks Halo.
Yeah, that was actually an April Fool's Day joke where it says Lego Halo, and then it's like, nah, like
But
a lot of people.
there's
thought that
footage
was
of
real.
both of these games. Is what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. Like these games did exist at some point. They just
see.
never ended up coming out, more or less, or never went far enough to get to the point where they came out.
It would be really cool. I understand why companies don't do it. I guess, for example, like there's rumors of there being a Halo CE remake and introducing a lot of that cut content. Super cool. Took 20 plus years for us to get it. But at the same time, like think about like other games that are massive, like Zelda games. Of course, there's tons of cut content. I would love to see what different dungeons and character designs they've gone for.
I remember with Breath of the Wild, in some art book or something, they had a bunch of this concept art of like Link, like futuristic Link, like fighting with like a lightsaber, more or less, or something along those lines.
That sounds like an early draft for Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, it was really early, but it was like
Yeah.
in a concept art book or something.
Yeah.
See, it'd be fun, and I mean, maybe eventually, maybe not in our lifetime, but game studios realize. Well, I'm sure they realize it now. But if they could somehow turn cut content and different things that they weren't able to reveal to the public due to time constraints or whether it just didn't fit the tone of the game, somehow created some sort of, even if it was digital, like a digital library for people to essentially walk into and see all of the different things that could have happened.
There used to be a lot of games. I remember God of War. You could unlock like pre-models of Kratos where he looked more Spartan-like, like an actual Spartan, like Jason from Jason the Argonauts, and like you had like little commentary. It's like, this is the original version of Kratos. This is what the Cyclops looked like. He had a dick, but we chopped it off.
I think to cap off the conversation is, I think the reason why that us Pokemon fans are so fascinated by this is because it's the first time we've ever gotten anything like this. Anytime we've ever gotten development details about a Pokemon game, it's been through a leak. Back in the day, we had the Space World demo from Gold and Silver leak, and that was a very interesting thing that everybody was going crazy about with beta Pokemon that never released into the main game. But, like, man, all it takes is an art book. Literally, Game Freak,
Yeah.
if you can put it together an art book and give it to us with some of this stuff, we would be so much more happier and pleased with just where this kind of a situation is. Because like I just got saying, Breath of the Wild had an art book inside. They had all this concept art. Every Xenoblade game has had concept art in their art books, and they're so freaking cool. I could go on and on about all the different things that have had these kind of things, these development things that they've been able to share with us. But Game Freak's never been able to, or just never has. And so that's why we're all going crazy over this stuff, because it's more or less new Pokemon content, and we're talking like a stupid amount of new Pokemon content we've never had. And so, yeah, maybe it will come of this as Game Freak just goes, well, it's already out there. Let's compile it, throw it into a book, and give it out to people. That way we can control what they see compared to what they will see, you know? Rather than making it so that anybody can see any of the random junk that was leaked, they control what they want to share into a official package, and then if anytime anyone ever looks up beta information on these games, they'll be directed to this book automatically. I would be down for it. I'd pay for the book instantly. In a heartbeat, I'd pay for that book, but here we are.
So yeah, it sucks because it's like, I mean, I understand that studios have a lot on their plate as is, trying to develop games, and any extracurricular stuff is just bonus at that point, and I don't think they expect to make money on it. As a fan, though, it's super cool when
dude.
when companies do reward you with something like that.
On top of it,
No,
like when you're a fan of something, a lot of
Right.
fan of something, you love this kind of stuff.
Right. Well, think about just how much Monolith cares when they do it with their Xenoblade stuff. Like you already mentioned 1, 2, and 3. I've looked through the art books; they're freaking sick, and
Well,
there's text there too.
On top of that, like those are just the special edition art books you've looked through. You've not even looked through like the actual art books that they've compiled for each of these games, where they have lore in these art books that weren't even in the games to begin with, and it's just all like they care. They want to share everything they possibly can.
Yeah.
And I want that from Pokemon, and I want that from everybody that loves their creation, I guess.
See, and a step further that I would like from that is make this kind of stuff more accessible. Although I love collecting and I love the idea of like a special edition and there's only 10,000 copies of this or whatever it may be, man, it's so disheartening when I am interested in something like that. Like the Zelda or Tears of the Kingdom one, I was very interested. It sold out instantly. Like, good luck, bro. You have to be on good terms with God to get that one.
Yeah.
So it's like that sucks. And now what am I left with? Well, I could look it up online, I guess. I could look up a YouTube video of somebody going through it, or I could buy one secondhand for who knows how much money. That stuff, it makes me sad. It sucks. So I wish it was stuff that is available, more readily available. Like, give me a book that I can purchase for $30 always.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Once again, I think it goes back to the companies or developers are more focused on the product than all the extracurricular stuff.
And it doesn't help that Pokemon's split into 3 right
Right.
now, so that's a big hindrance from doing this kind of stuff. And how much they love their secrets.
The secrets Nintendo doesn't want you to know about.
Very much so, yeah.
It gives YouTubers a lot of content.
You know, this is similar, but while it's cool to see video games, I would like to see basically shelved movies. Like Warner Brothers recently has shelved several projects, and I wonder I was curious how bad or how like what did they made them want to shelve it. Like the Batgirl movie, apparently test audiences hated the movie. I was like, how bad could it have been?
It's like it becomes lost media.
Yeah,
In a way. Or
yeah,
like
except Warner Brothers has it deep in their vault that someone just wants to break
there's like
into.
alternate cuts too of these movies. Like we finally got like Zack Snyder's Superman or whatever what the freak
or
it
the
was.
Borderlands will never
Justice
The
get.
League.
Borderlands one we'll never get. The freaking
We might
there's
get
an
it. if-
R-rated cut of what movie out there that people are always going crazy about? Like somewhere down the. It's been years. People are always going. There's an R-rated cut of it out there.
I don't know.
I swear it's like a kids movie or something that.
Kangaroo Jack.
No, that's not what I'm thinking of.
Kangaroo Jack does have an R-rated cut
Really?
somewhere. It was supposed to be R-rated, and then they
The Hobbit, I know the third film is rated R, and they had to cut out a lot of the fight scenes to make it PG-13. And it's quite sad because the fight scenes in that extended cut are phenomenal.
the chariot scene.
Yeah.
I like the detail of the black blood because that's what the orcs and goblins have. They have black blood, so that's what you see when they're spilling out of them.
I think there's been enough popular rated R movies that maybe companies are more willing to try.
There's also NC-17 cuts. I know Army of Darkness had an NC-17 cut, and then they had to trim a lot of the movie. I think that got released with like a special edition, but I can't remember. Yeah, a lot of horror movies like they get the NC-17 rating in the studios. Like we gotta trim down the violence.
I imagine they get it the most, right?
Is
Yeah.
it usually because of like sexual violence or
No, just violence in general.
Sorry,
Sexual violence.
well, like sexual content.
I knew
not
what you
violence.
meant. But putting those words
sometimes
is
happens.
crazy
Usually
together.
just like, hey, maybe have like Jason Voorhees stomp that guy's head like 2 less times.
I guess what I meant by sexual violence is in a lot of those
yeah.
slasher
Sex
films.
and violence.
Yeah, it's like somebody's banging and then Jason
They're
comes
in the
up
shower
and he
and they
stabs
kill
both of
him.
them. He stabs
Yeah.
the guy through the back and his dick and into her and they all die.
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens, but it's just like that's what I meant.
Oh my gosh, he goes through it all.
Well, like there's this old sci-fi film where this girl's taking a shower and Bigfoot reaches in through the tiny window, grabs her, and then pulls her through the window, and she folds like a chair backwards. So like her stomach's smacking the window, and then she gets snapped like that backwards and dragged out.
Ow.
Like you see her titties, and then she's dead.
Well, that's not hot. We don't want to see that.
Well, that's where my brain was when I said the word sexual and violence together.
I'm not trying to yuck any yums, but like if that's your kink, I might yuck your
Actually,
yum. That's kind of scary.
Sexual
and sad.
violence
That's
usually
sad,
alludes
like,
to a certain R word. So
nervous.
That's not what I meant. It's sexual and violence.
Yeah.
Sexual and violent content.
May I see the keyboard? This is gonna like hurt my brain until I figure out what the R-rated cut of this movie.
Oh, you mean Scooby-Doo probably?
There it is.
The original Scooby.
Yeah, there's an R-rated cut of a Scooby-Doo movie.
James Gunn said, I don't know how much we could trust James Gunn, but he said it on Facebook. He says there is an R-rated cut of this movie. Originally, the vision for the Scooby-Doo movie was supposed to be like a adult deconstruction of Scooby-Doo, and then Warner Bros. Was like, no, we're just going to make a kids movie. But apparently there's enough content that he made it rated R, and apparently he said that they had to CGI out Daphne's cleavage.
Oh, was her tits out the whole time?
Like there's like a nice cleavage in her boobs, and they had to CG that out apparently.
For every shot that she's in.
every shot, yeah.
Rip to Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah.
We missed out on a lot right
Rip
there.
Buffy's boobies. But yeah, that's like sometimes I'd like to see that out and about stuff. Apparently there's a movie called All the Pretty Horses. It was had Matt Damon in it. It is directed by Billy Bob Thornton, and like the original was like for 3 hours. It was the whole book. The original book it was based off was the whole book, and then the studio's like, nah, you got to cut that down. We got to market it as like a romance movie, even though it's nothing like that. And that version like was like everyone's like, wow, this sucks. And Billy Bob Thornton, he's always like, well, I want to release my original version, but the composer says doesn't want to license the track, the soundtrack out, and that's the niche in it. So,
I wonder, going back to video games, lost media is what I guess we'll call it. Maybe we will see it in the next like 10, 20 years because we kind of went through the age of where video games became big. Right, they became big, popular, lots of stuff. A lot of cut content had to happen in these video games. And now that those games, like Halo, are now getting 20 plus years old.
I don't mean to bring it up like I always do, but Xenoblade Chronicles, literally future connected in the Xenoblade Definitive Edition, was cut content from Xenoblade 1. Like, there's a trailer or something. Well, there's one shot in the base game where you see the Biona's shoulder, and everyone's like, we don't get to go here. What is this? Turns out it was like a test area that they created, and it never just got put into the real game. And now we have it.
They made a DLC.
They made a DLC out
expansion.
of it. Isn't that weird?
That's
How Xenoblade's still the best thing ever created.
But it's stuff like that, though, where, like I said, I wonder if we're getting to the point where we're 20, 30 years removed from some of this stuff where maybe I don't know what the constraints are on some of this stuff other than one of the main ones being somebody to actually go out and make it. But maybe we're getting to the point where like Takahashi's already done, and maybe since like it's his thing and Nintendo's kind of giving him the green flag, it seems like he can just do whatever.
I guess while we're there, I remember Gears 2 had a DLC that was that mission. It was a cut mission from the base game, but they ended up polishing it up enough essentially so it was playable, and they just let people do it.
Gears of War 2. Yeah, the stealth was completely optional when we played through it. It's like,
it's bad.
Yeah.
It's not a great mission. Like, you can tell that it's not like a complete mission, but it's cool that they were still able to package it up and give it to us. And
I heard that Last of Us 2, like they had added a bunch of content back into the game. Wait, it was Luke who said, like, he was listening to a podcast and he says, yeah, they had to cut content to the game and there's a reason why it was cut. So it's like it's apparently really bad for that Last of Us 2 remaster, whatever it is. I freaking hate how we're getting like remasters like a one console generation later. Like there is I don't know if you've heard this yet, but there is a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster coming out for PS5. It's like that's a PS4 game.
Is it just graphical upscaling, or are they adding cut content?
I don't know about cut content, but they literally just pretty much went back and like touched up all the graphics. Like, we don't need this. The first game still looks fine. I don't know why you're doing this. Like, are you guys are you guys creatively bankrupt enough that said, hey, let's just remake Horizon 1? hot take, I didn't really like Horizon 1 that much. Yeah, I played through it, but like I thought it was very clunky at times.
I'll say, if it's a game that I like and they want to remake it every generation, and I like it enough where I enjoy playing it through again, I'm happy to play it every generation it comes out.
Yeah, there's fans like that, but it's like, personally for me, it's like, why don't we just, make a sequel or a reimagining or something? Like, if you take the first game and reimagining into something like different, I'll be fine.
Like what is it? Literally just brain dead. I was thinking like Resident Evil's like reboots, but that's not really the reimagining I'm thinking of.
See, the difference between Resident Evil Remake, like the graphic.
Oh, okay, got it. Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's a reimagining of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
It's a remake. It's literally the term remake fits perfectly because it's a completely different game, although it's still kind of the same. Yeah, that. They did that stuff with more games. That'd be super, super cool.
Yeah, if they like reinvented the formula, like maybe even make it a different genre, like say take Last of Us, turn it into like a turn-based strategy.
Well,
like,
I don't want to play that, but
I
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
How I think about this is I like remakes, but I also understand where you're coming from too, Thane. The one I was going to point out was also Resident Evil. Like when did Resident Evil 1 release? Was it 1995 or something?
Yeah, 95, 96.
Yeah, somewhere in there. The remake, I believe, came out, was it 2001 or was it 2003?
Somewhere. Yeah, I think 2001. It was very early on the GameCube.
Yeah, it was very early, but they made the game look infinitely better, and they also added quality of life changes to it.
It still looks amazing this day, even on the GameCube. Like, I don't know how they got it to look that good.
It looks really good. Now let's take the what Cole just said with Final Fantasy VII. Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4, I think, are phenomenal remakes.
Yeah.
Well, 3's has issues.
Yeah.
It's just tiny. But yeah, Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4. I'm going to go on the record and say, not that I have played Final Fantasy 7 or the Part 2 yet, but I think Resident Evil 4 is the greatest remake of any video game ever made. That's the hill I'm going to die on right now.
What did you say? 2 or 4, did you say?
4.
Oh, okay.
Resident Evil 4. And the thing is they added graphics, lots of quality of life changes. They changed up things, so it's not like you're just playing the exact same game over and over again. So it gives fans of the series
also
more surprises.
Also, what I like is that separate ways. Instead of like the original had just a lot of rehashed areas, you kind of just played as Ada going back through different areas and like maybe fighting a different boss. But in the remake, they actually took content that was cut from the original, like wasn't in the original, and actually put it into separate ways. So you actually play that missing content from the original. So it makes Ada's experience more unique. It's like, oh, there's the laser room, there's the U3 boss fight, there's the I can't remember. There's the giant spiked wall with the grindy things.
Yeah.
They added all that back into separate ways.
Here's another good one too, is Link's Awakening remake. Super fun.
Yeah.
I never played the base game, but graphically
it's pretty much the same,
enough.
but it's like it's easier to control and it just graphically looks better. It's just like easier to play. It's more quality of life.
From the ground up remake where they literally have to remake the code.
Yeah.
Like recode things.
Yeah. Well,
not recode things, just zero copying pasting is what I get. Yeah. Other than like maybe a script.
Yeah. All they did was just look at the pictures side by side and just drew everything.
I think the ones that get me is like you're saying, like Horizon is dumping out another one.
I don't really care.
Did Last of Us 2 you said got a remake?
Yeah, it's got a remaster for the PS5. It's basically like they didn't really change too much. All they did was upscale it for PS5. That's about it.
Are they taking the Skyrim approach of just like let's make this game on everything?
Well, you can't give that.
Okay. Overheated,
camera down.
Oh, well. Keep it rolling.
You can't put the Last of Us on the Skyrim thing. It's only 2 consoles it's been on.
Yeah.
They did the same with Last of Us 1. It was on PS4 and the or PS3 and then PS4. And the PS5 one is like an actual remake of it.
Yeah, the PS5 is actual remake,
of
which
number 2?
I didn't really care for. I didn't really
Oh.
care for because everyone said, "Hey, if you already played the original, you don't really need to play this one." It's
totally.
like, Okay.
But if I was ever to replay Last of Us 1, I'd want to play that version. I
Yeah.
wouldn't play
Sure,
the old ones.
yeah.
Yeah, unless you like desperately want to play Last of Us Part 1, you could play Last of Us Part 1.
And then but like with Last of Us 2 though, I wouldn't really care which version I play of that because it's just a remaster at that point.
I mean, the PS5 they added like a roguelike mode, but I don't really care.
Roguelike modes are sick. I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah.
Any game that gets them, I love to see what they do.
Well, see, that's cool that they add more content.
Yeah.
Though. It's not
Yeah,
just.
yeah, yeah.
But here's
made
the
it
here's the
prettier.
kicker. You have to buy a completely separate version. If you have the PS4 version, you can't download it for that. You have to buy the PS5 version. Whereas in God of War Ragnarok, they added a roguelike mode for free on both versions. So it's like, also I just like Ragnarok better. So
Santa Monica, they're
Yeah.
a better studio than Naughty Dog.
well, it's just a more fun game.
yeah, it's just a
play.
more fun. It's more fun to play. It's like,
I like Last of Us, and the combat's just okay, but that's a long game to be playing that same combat the entire time.
yeah.
Yeah. It fits
Some
the
would
movie
argue
better.
for God of War, but God of War actually adds like a little bit more variety. Like you get more you get like a different weapon. You get 2 different weapons. You get a skill tree. You can have more different armor build up. You can get different builds for your character.
You know, I'm thinking about it. I'm pretty sure I was recording in 4K. I think that's why it overheated.
Whoops.
My bad.
Whoopies. I would say overall though, like I'm a big fan of remakes and remasters. Obviously, you don't have to buy them, but it also, like for
Yeah.
example, the Dead Space remake didn't sell as well as EA would have hoped, and when stuff like that happens, then it kind of
Yeah.
hinders anything
Anything else?
else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I would much rather. I'm with you, Cole. I would much rather play the latest version of a game than go back and play the
Yeah.
first version, because in my head I'm thinking, okay, if you're doing a remake or a remaster, graphically it's going to be better. Hopefully there's a lot of quality of life changes you've made, and I would love extra content. I'm not saying we always get that, but that's kind of my expectations when it comes to a remake.
I think there's very few people that would say they'd rather play the original version over a remaster.
Yeah.
The ones that change like the art style just enough are the ones where people might say things like that, like Wind Waker, for example. A lot of people would prefer to play the GameCube version of the Wind Waker rather than the HD remaster of it. Personally, I always thought the HD remaster looked better. I think the GameCube version's timeless, but I just like the color palette they used for the HD remaster better.
Well, and didn't they change certain quests that made
Oh,
it
yeah.
more user friendly?
But I'm not even thinking about that. Like that's
easier rather.
like that's fine. Like that doesn't really affect me that much in like my why would if I would enjoy playing it over again. I'm more so literally just hyper focusing on the art style.
Yeah.
Like and I once again we're going back to Xenoblade, but like Xenoblade 1 remaster compared to Xenoblade 1 base game, like there's a huge art style change, and a lot of people do prefer the original art style. I think it's incredibly ugly, and all the characters make me want to throw up, and so I'd much rather play the Switch version.
And there's different UI too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the end of
That's
the world.
pretty harsh, but okay.
I mean, dude, okay, when Melia's best girl and you look at her on the Wii, you just want to throw up. I'm sorry.
I mean, the
Ain't
Wii is
nobody's liking that one. Just kidding. I'm sure people do. But that's exactly that's kind of the point, right? Like, there's a lot of people that do prefer the Wii version, and that art
You
style
know what's
better.
crazy? I looked up. Apparently, they say the GameCube is slightly more powerful than the Wii.
Oh, yeah?
That kind of blew my mind because if you compare the specs, it's like the Wii just falls just short of the GameCube, and it's like, wow. All they really did was just focus on this, the motion controls.
He just mimed masturbation,
I
if
forgot
you're
the
curious.
cameras off, but I was miming the when you swing the remote. Sometimes it
Masturbation.
looks like you're cranking it.
Cranking
Especially
it.
when you play
Yeah.
No More Heroes.
Yeah, I like. Well, that's the thing. Like he does the up and down motion, but the game actually wants you to do like the wiggle motion.
wiggle.
I find it funny that at No More Heroes, they're literally art specifically making fun of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how Nintendo let that one through as they published
they
it.
can do whatever they want. They didn't publish it.
They
at
didn't
all.
publish it?
No,
Oh, I
that
thought
was
they did.
That was Marvelous in Japan and Ubisoft in America.
I
Is
thought
it
they published
Suda51 that makes that game?
Yeah.
He's not the one that bans everybody on Twitter, is he? Your boss?
No, that's Kamiya. That's Hideki Kamiya.
Oh, what?
He-
He's
He
Bayonetta?
retired. Yeah, he's Bayonetta, but he retired.
He's retired from the industry.
Mhm.
Oh wow, I didn't know
Didn't
that.
he just do the final Bayonetta game and call it quits?
I
He
think
didn't
so,
really
more or
do.
less.
He just produced it, pretty much.
not do very well?
They did fine.
He did fine. But I think he just said, I'm done with games. I made enough I made my money.
I'm pretty sure it's exactly what it was.
I think he did a YouTube channel. He's doing a YouTube channel now, so it's like he's doing the Sakurai approach.
I've not watched a lot of Sakurai's videos in a long time, but I got one recommended to me, and it was Memories with Mr. Iwata, and I was just like, bro, don't do this to me. I don't want to be sad. Yikes.
That's sad. I don't want sad.
I didn't watch it. I was like, I'm not going to be sad now.
Maybe Kamiya should do Memories with Capcom. F you.
It's just him flipping off the
camera. I think he would be the kind of guy who bring up bad memories of his old employers.
The final remake one I wanted to bring up there where I'd rather play, and I have played the original. Not all the way through. I think I played a couple hours of it.
Ooh, let me guess. Oh no, I'm on the spot. I put myself on the spot. Shoot. Grand Theft Auto 5 on the Xbox 360, but you'd rather play the PC version. Got it.
Oh, give me some.
Yeah.
There's no way that was like actually what you were thinking. Okay.
No, I was going to say Silent Hill 2.
Oh,
yeah.
The pictures I saw looked really cool.
Dude, the game looks incredible.
Yeah, they say that the remake is good enough to play over the original. I'm playing the original right now because I want to play that one before I start the remake.
Does it have 10 controls? Number 2?
It starts with it, but you can actually, if you go to the options, it says pick which control scheme, 3D control or 2D control. 3D control is the tank control because it's like forward, but then 2D control is just like you want the 2D control.
See, I remember.
Also, you want auto run on every time.
I remember playing your Xbox 360 version of 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it had the option of 3D control in there. I just was dumb and couldn't figure it out.
See, I don't remember using tank controls, so I think whatever you had it set at was whatever I played it on, because I played it and it was fine.
Oh, that's interesting, because I remember playing...
Or maybe you told me to change it, and so I did, because I don't remember playing Silent Hill 2 with tank controls.
Yeah, I think Silent Hill's always had that option. It's like, oh, you guys don't like tank controls? We have an option for that. I remember the GameCube version of Resident Evil did have the tank controls, and I don't remember if you could take it on or off. I can't remember.
I know it's in the PC version.
Yeah.
That you can turn it on and off.
Yeah, the remaster they added the 2D controls, they call it.
I know incredibly little about Silent Hill. There's 2 things I know about Silent Hill. You got Pyramid Head, which is a demon person.
That's not his canon name.
And I know your other one too.
Okay, I want to
say it.
It's the fact that in the Xbox 360 port they used Comic Sans for the fonts on the signs.
I thought you were gonna say the sexy nurses.
Oh no! I wasn't thinking about that. No, I was literally thinking the Comic Sans thing.
Usually, whenever I hear Silent Hill, that's the first 2 things people say: Pyramid Head, sexy nurses.
So for a while, the community and even Konami said Pyramid Head's the name, but then early in the
Change
game,
it to Greg.
No. In the game, James, he says, "Did you see that red pyramid thing?" And that's how it's supposed to be. Its canon name is Red Pyramid thing. And I'm like, oh, I like Pyramid Head better.
I like Red Pyramid thing.
But that's his canon name because James said it. And I was like, okay.
Shout out to James.
Shout out, dude.
Yeah, so they used Comic Sans for the remaster, and I just thought that was really funny. That's the only thing I know about it.
Also, I like in Silent Hill, if you actually, at least in 2, I don't know about 1. I don't think they thought of the story much in 1, but in 2, if you actually dig deep to lore, all the monsters represent the deepest fears of James and the rest of the cast. The Pyramid Head is his represents his inferiority, his weakness. And then the sexy nurses represent when his wife was in a coma and he looked at her body and was like, wanted to Shinji all over.
That's such a funny reference. It's unfortunate there's somebody in this room that doesn't quite get it quite right.
Yeah. Get it right. Get it right. Get it tight.
Sorry, Sky.
There's 2 people in this room that have been glaring at me.
Someday you'll watch Evangelion, I'm sure.
I didn't really like it. I watched
That doesn't
the movies
count,
with you
dude.
guys.
We should never have let you watch those movies before watching the TV show.
Yeah, the movies are they're fine, but they don't hold a candle to the original.
It's not the same. They're almost like an addendum. You almost want to watch the TV show and then the movies, and you get more out of the movies because you watch the TV show first.
Because you said he changed stuff, right?
Oh, so
he
much
changed-
stuff. Oh
yes,
my,
he
it's
changed
not even
so
the
much
same
stuff
story.
around.
Oh.
It's literally like, okay, so the first movie is pretty dang close. They cut out some filler-esque stuff, but like at the end of the like from movie 2 to 4, it's like the series went like this, and the movie 2 to 4 is like, let's just go like way past that wall over there and just do something entirely new story.
Here's an idea I had when I wanted to make the show 50 episodes, but Guyanik said no.
And I was also super
That's
depressed.
not true, but it feels like it's like, yeah, here's an idea of have more ideas for the show.
There's just so many differences. They're not even close. They don't like minor spoilers for the Evangelion movies. There is no time skip in the TV show like there was in the movies.
Yeah.
So there's one example. Like, if that tells you how much of a difference there is in the shows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think you would enjoy them. Yeah, they're weird. Yeah, they got some interesting stuff here and there, but like, you got to take it in stride and then like interpret it however you want to interpret it. And that's literally the point of it. Like, there's no real meaning to a lot of these weird shows, I've decided. It's just however you feel like interpreting it for yourself. My interpretation was sometimes people suck and sometimes they don't. And that's literally what I thought about Evangelion. That's kind of how I got
and
to.
sometimes people should learn to get in the robot, Shinji.
You'll watch it
Yeah.
someday, right?
Yeah, I'm
Right?
sure.
Yeah, and with that, let's
turkey.
launch the Eva
Should
into
we
the
turkey
night
wrap
sky.
this podcast
We're going to
up?
baste it.
Yeah, baste it, be based.
What are you basting it with? Oil? Butter?
Barbecue sauce?
All of that, and a little bit of paprika.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah. And maybe a bit of that good old sriracha.
We better stop him. Oh, no. Why are you throwing sriracha on it? What
Makes it
the?
a little spicy. What do you want? Like, would
Throw
you
some
rather-
like cayenne pepper on there if you want spicy. Don't
Okay,
put
yeah.
freaking
That's
sriracha
true.
on
That
there.
you should
You're like,
probably
what the
put the
freak?
cayenne.
We better stop before we let the thing cook even more.
Yeah.
See, that was
Stop
funny
letting
because
it
we're actually
cook.
talking about cooking.
Yeah.
Although it's very
Good.
funny, guys. Don't worry. Thank you guys for watching. And I guess listening to the end because we're not on the screen anymore.
Yeah,
Maybe don't loop it like we did last time because that
made people mad.
made people mad.
Oh my.
The people
are
are
so
kinda like,
soft.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.